time you give your tank a little bit of a rearrange, it's absolutely amazing how much better you can make the tank look. So this one here, we've just redone the plants, and it just makes the tank look 500 times better. And it gives the fish new things to forage and play. The other thing that's amazing about this tank is that fish can absolutely go missing. And I can go for several visits and I'll never see a particular fish. And then suddenly he's back. So at the moment we can't see the angelfish for some weird reason. But you watch another time, the angels might just appear again. Alright, I love this tank, it's so cool. Yeah, when you have fish in a tank for a long period of time, all the babies will cross and cross and cross. So they're all crossbred, and they'll end up being almost one species. Now, as far as the water in here is concerned, there's not ammonia. There is some nitrite. There's no nitrate. So ammonia and nitrite are going to tell us if our filtration is enough. And at the moment, considering how many fish are actually in this tank, and considering how minimalistic the filtration is, the fact that there is some nitrite in the water is not really surprising. So you've got two options. Option one is reduce the amount of fish. In a tank like this, it's easy to say, but maybe a fish trap would probably be the best way of removing some smaller fish. Or you need to increase the amount of filtration on the aquarium. And something that we could look at doing is getting a whole bunch of marine pure balls and stashing them around the back there to increase the biological capacity of the aquarium, which means we need more surface area to grow more good bacteria, so the bacteria can break down the waste from the fish, because what is going on at the moment isn't quite enough. And then over time, as the fish grow, that nitrite is likely to increase until the tank is overpopulated. And then what overpopulated means is that you have exceeded the biological capacity of your aquarium, which means you've got more fish than you're allowed to have, and then some of them have to die. So Mother Nature will allow you to be in balance, and then if you're not in balance because you have too many fish, then some have to die. Then you'll lose some, and then your biological load will go down, and then Mother Nature will go back to being balanced again. So something's got to give. Love these tin foils. So in here at the moment, our KH is 4, our pH is nice and alkaline, and our GH is on the high side. It was about 17. So we have not added any GH salts because the GH is already high. We have recommended a smaller amount of water agent get used because at the moment it's potential that over a period of time too much fraction has been used, because water agent can overdose the GH level. And then we're not going to bother doing anything with the KH because 4 is relatively acceptable for these fish in this tank. And the amount of KH that you would need to make an impact on this tank is actually substantial and not worth the investment. So when your fish are crossbred, they actually have no value. Purebred fish have a value, but in Australia, we have very strict quarantine laws. So what we don't want to encourage is the sale of crossbred fish because it waters down the varieties that we have in Australia, and many varieties have been lost due to crossbreeding. So if you ever find yourself with crossbred fish, you can come and donate them to us at Majestic Aquariums, and then we will generally sell them very cheap to someone with a turtle, because people like putting fish with their turtles, but most of the time the turtles eat the fish, so they just want to put something nice and cheap, something to swim around. So you may as well let the crossbred fish do that job.
So that's what you do with all the little ones, is it?
You just get rid of them, but you don't want to sell them, otherwise someone will try to sell them as the right thing, and they'll breed them with the right thing, and it waters down the varieties that we have in Australia. Live plants or live coral in your aquarium, then the lights are only there for you to enjoy watching your animals. So if you are getting algae on your fake plants or fake coral or your fake diver, then if you have the lights off, then eventually after a few weeks the algae will die off and your ornaments should be nice and clean. So if you have a mega tank like this one and you want it to stay cleaner, you want to reduce or even stop the light, because the light is going to be causing your algae. And particularly if you want the tank to be nice and clean, just go for a good few weeks with no light at all. Ambient light is totally fine for the fish, and then the rest of your ornaments should all be cleaner than they were. Right, so when I'm feeding fish, you want to grab your nice big pellets first, and that should occupy the bigger fish. So if I go and dump this in the water, like that, now we should see all the bigger guys come up and just have a bit of a munch. And then, let's say I grab a smaller pellet. It's also good to have some floating pellets as well, because that helps different fish monopolize what's what. So see these little pellets here, they're gonna disadvantage the bigger fish. Actually, in this particular aquarium, we should think about stopping feeding the smaller pellets actually, because if we've got too many small fish, if we only had larger pellets, then these smaller fish are going to be disadvantaged. That's not a bad idea now that I'm thinking of it. So now I'll just grab some more smaller pellets for no reason besides we've got plenty of them. See, the bigger fish don't even notice the smaller pellets. So right now in this tank we have way too many fish.
I'll give them a batch of bigger pellets.
Yep, go for it.
They need another one. Only about 6 fish got the last
Sure.
lot. Let's try and spread them around a bit. Too many. If you watch these little guys, they still grab these big things and swim off with it and chew it.
Yeah, well that's still gonna, yeah.
You can't do anything about that.
Well, you can't.
I never see the jaguar get anything there.
Well, he's obviously getting something because
Must
he's,
be eating something.
well, unless he's eating the little fish.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, to help control these small fish, I think if we totally stop the little pellets for a while.
See how the silver dollar deals with? He takes the big one with him.
Yeah,
And just rolls it around in his mouth.
yeah, that's a very good idea, Mr. Silver Dollar.
And they'll just swim off with him and roll around in their mouth. Just,
See, he's playing ball with that one.
yep. You can chew that for a while.
It's funny, he could have gone for the little pellets he could eat, but he just seems to occupy himself with the big one.
It's a gobstopper.
Yeah, he just goes for the gobstopper. Now these guys are all scavenging off the bottom. Yeah, I reckon if we totally stop the small pellets, it's not going to stop the small fish from eating, but it will probably disadvantage them a little bit. They're just loving it, aren't they? Yeah, I think we need a fish trap. If we just went and got a bait trap, make sure the hole was big enough for all these little fellas to go in, and not letting any of the bigger fellas in, and start trying to reduce the population of this tank. Get all those little guys out and help us keep nitrate down. If you do keep the feeding scarce and we stop the small pellets, then hopefully fish like this dovii and this jaguar here, hopefully these guys go into hunting mode and bunk off a few of these baby fish. So I'd probably want to keep the feeding very light for a while. So hardly feed at all, and let's only feed the larger pellets for a while. See if we can get some of these baby fish eaten. And that also might make the baby fish hungry. That way, if we do put a fishing trap in here, that the baby fish should be more tempted to go into the fishing trade if we bait it. But currently this tank is overpopulated, which means it is a time bomb. Because while there's a bit of nitrite in the water, it is highly likely that sometime soon a disease will go through the tank and wipe out a whole lot of the fish and reduce your bio load, and that way then you won't have too many fish and Mother Nature will do her thing and give you balance.